How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I get back from all the shenanigans that I was going through to get an extension on my visa, and I make my way back to training. And not gonna lie, it was kind of bittersweet because it felt good to take some time off from training, but it really was a drag knowing that getting back into it, and even though it was only like 3 days that I took a break from training, I knew that it was gonna be tough for me to kind of get back into rhythm. But then again, out there's really nothing else to do other than train, so what else was I gonna do with my free time? So I hope you guys are able to enjoy the episode. Let's get into it. So after getting back from my little break, I had to do some cleaning and organizing. You know, being in such a tiny enclosed space can really make you go crazy so to combat that, I try my best to keep my room as clean and as tidy as possible. But even though, like, you know, cleaning it makes it comfortable, I still would highly recommend get out as much as you can. Outside of training on the weekends, if you can, just go out into the city, go do stuff. Don't do what I do and just no life the whole thing. You don't want to burn out on training while you're in Thailand. Man, that shit was tough, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Looking back at it, that was gnarly. Cause I'll get into it later on, but there was a point that I was just straight no-lifing it, and either I was training or I was doing some sort of exercise or some shit that I was really focusing on, and I was just doing that. There was that and just playing on my Steam Deck, and there was training and then resting to go train again, and that definitely dragged after a while. You need to have some breaks. You need to have some vacations while you're on vacation.
Of the day, large portions of the year, this spot has to be as tidy as possible. A tidy house means that you can chill, because you know, remember, this place is not that far off from a crackdown. I shouldn't be saying that, bro. It's highly offensive.
So at this point in my training, I was becoming aware of how lumbering I could be, so building mobility became my focus. I know I had issues with being able to stay light on my feet because of the pain I would feel when I went running. I would feel so much tightness on my heels, so I figured I should probably develop that area, and that'll maybe give me a boost in my footwork. And that's where I learned about this tire jumping exercise. It's pretty simple to do. All you gotta do is jump on the center of the tire like so, and that's it. You do that for 10 to 15 minutes and you'll tank your ankles fucking hard. But that's good, because you do that shit for like a month every day, incorporating rest days as you see fit, of course, and boom, now you got some mean fucking ankles, and not some lame ankles, but some man ankles, some mankles. how me being so heavy-footed was such a hindrance. Right now, Bim, my current teacher, was trying to get me to be more loose, but if only he knew how fucked my ankles were at this point. After them tires, I had no fuel to stay light, but at some point I do. So that concludes this week's episode. It was just another day of training at Santai, and it was rough coming back in. It's kind of like it's more like I can equate to getting back into exercise right after a weekend of partying. Even though I didn't do anything like that, like once you get off the wagon, it kind of takes you a little bit of time to get back into the rhythm and to just get into the zone, the day to day. Finger burn, but and especially because the process of getting back in the wagon is like when you start, there's no class that's easy. All the classes hurt. Everything takes everything out of you, and you feel so much more than just fatigue. You feel like your bones and your joints, everything would ache like crazy. But that's also why I went there, because the type of training that I experienced in Santai was unlike any training that I've had anywhere else in my life. And I knew that, the pain is going to be temporary. Just stick through it, push through it, and eventually you're going to acclimate. There were reasons why I know life to my training, but I wouldn't recommend it for most people. And especially since it's only really now that I'm working on these videos and I'm looking back and I'm at the memories, and I'm like, oh man, I miss it. I can't wait to go back next year. But it did hurt me that for the last month I burned out, and it was really, really taking a toll on me being in Santai. As much as I loved it, it got to a point that I started to hate it, and I felt like that was very, very uncalled for me to end my training in Santai then. But that's you might see that down the road on another video, and I wouldn't recommend, because the truth of the matter, here's a little bit of a rough thing. When you go out there and you do training like this, you're gonna come back improved. You're gonna come back in better shape. Hold on. You're gonna come back stronger, better, faster, bigger, whatever, all that shit. But the thing that you have to consider is that what you do with that where you're gonna see the most amount of change. So if you come back from that training, you revert back to your old habits, then it's a fucking waste. Then you don't even bother. If anything, and for 6 months, don't even waste your time doing that shit for 6 months. But if you come back and you keep training, you keep doing exercise, you keep improving, then it's worth it, because now you've developed your body so far along that when you're exercising on an entirely different level. So that's when it would be very, very beneficial. It's mostly what you do with it when you get back. So I hope you guys were able to enjoy my this week's episode. I'm not sure what's on the docket for next week. I have to pull out the footage and take a look at that. So if you feel like I've earned your sub, I really appreciate it if you could like, comment, subscribe, give me some feedback to help me along on my YouTube journey. And with all that being said, I'll catch you guys in next week's episode. Peace.